Wowie Jam 4, a 3.5-day relaxing game jam. But I already have plans on all of these days, except for the last one. So I guess this is going to be a speedrun. If you want to play the game without knowing the story beforehand, click on the link in the description before watching this video. I will go over every aspect of the game now, so spoiler alert. The theme of the game jam was collaborating with AI. Even though I didn't have time to work on the game before the last day, I already thought about what kind of game I could make and made some notes. I decided that it would be easiest to create a top-down shooter. With my notes ready and a lot of motivation, I set my alarm to 6:34 AM and went to sleep. At 6:44 AM my PC was booted up and I was ready to start. The first few hours were spent creating the player that can move around and shoot bullets. I also added some enemies that look towards the player once the player is close enough. With this I already had most of the main mechanics covered. Of course I didn't have time to make fancy graphics for my game. Thanks to Kenny, this is not an issue. I simply used one of their awesome free asset packs for my game. I proceeded with making the enemies shoot once they detect the player. I decided to make the enemies spin and give them a bigger detection area in their field of view. Okay, maybe that's a bit too fast. Now it was time to create the little robot that follows you around. For this I simply duplicated the enemy and added a new script that makes the robot follow the player until it gets close enough. After that, it was time for a very short lunch break. After lunch, I decided that it would be best to record my second monitor instead of my work. While doing so, I added a simple main menu with one button to start the game and finished the robot AI. The robot can now detect and drive to the energy pickups that are scattered around the map. Once it picked up the energy, it moves towards the player again unless there are other energy pickups in the area. At the end of the level, the robot is fully recharged and turns evil. He proceeds to attack the player and starts shooting. With this, I had all the mechanics and the gameplay loop finished. I started to feel a bit exhausted, so I decided to take a little break again before working on the last missing piece of my game, the story. Using the Dialogic plugin, I created a simple introduction to the game where the robot approaches the player and explains what's going on. I decided to let the robot tell the player what keys to use to move around and shoot, so it would be easy to figure out how to play. I think by just adding some dialogues, the game got a lot more interesting. And that's it. I spent some more time redesigning the main menu before exporting a web build of my game and uploading it to itch.io. I still had some hours left and there was still a lot of room for improvement and new features. For example, sound effects or music. But at this point I was pretty exhausted and I decided that I'll leave the game as it is. I played some of the other games after the jam was over and had a lot of fun doing so. My game got an okayish rating, which was expected. After all, I only worked on it for one day or even just a few hours. My main goal was to finally take part in a game jam and hand in a working game. And that's what I did. It was a great experience and I learned a lot in just this one day. So it was definitely worth it.